This is Randall and Glenda with KravMagaTraining.com, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to do covering defenses from the front. And this is the reason why I like to teach this technique. Here's the scenario. Glenda and I are sparring, and I'm relatively new to sparring. The general rule is that when you see straight punches coming at your face, we use our inside defenses, which is a Krav Maga staple. So I will just do a quick review of that. Inside defenses. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, those work great. But a common complaint from beginners, especially when they're first getting into sparring, is they constantly tell me, I'm having trouble making my inside defenses work when I'm sparring. So Glenda and I are sparring, she's sort of, I'm having trouble like reading them, and especially if your sparring partner is very quick, you're new to this, it's very hard to make your inside defenses work. So what I would suggest is switching to covering defenses when this scenario happens. Now, before I actually get into the covering defenses, let me explain a few reasons why you might be having trouble making your inside defenses work on when you're sparring. Here's the first one is, when we're sparring right now, Glenda's relatively close to me. She barely has to take an advanced step to be able to punch me. At this range, I don't like to do inside defenses because she barely has to move forward and the punch is already up in my face and I don't have time to do the inside defense. My preference is when I do inside defenses, I like to be a little bit farther away. I want to be at least this far away, so if Glenda has to take a big step forward, it's a lot easier to see it coming. So don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't ever do inside defenses when I spar. Matter of fact, I would prefer to do inside defenses because it makes your counter-striking ability a lot better. However, I only do it at that range when the person is really far away. Part of the problem is beginners, they let their sparring partner get a little too close like this, and at this range, I don't have time to see it coming. It's happening too quick. Also, if your sparring partner is very quick, or they fake a lot, you're not really sure if it's going to be the left or right hand coming. It's just very difficult. So what I suggest when you're this close and your sparring partner is very quick and you're having trouble reading them, you switch to covering defenses. And this is what it looks like. Now, in our Krav Maga curriculum, we do have a covering defense from the side like this, which works really well when the person's throwing hook punches. But I like to expand upon that, and I also suggest to my students, especially when they first get into sparring, is also learn how to do covering defenses to defend straight punches from the front. And how you do it is you take the heel of your palm and you basically put it on the top of your head or your forehead. Tuck your chin down, crunch your abs, kind of hunch down, and then notice how I'm rotating my body like this. And this entire arm and hand basically creates a shield for me to hide behind, and then I let the fist bounce off of that. If the punch is coming on the other side, I just reverse it like this. Now, I prefer to do one or the other at a time because it puts your other hand available for counter-striking, which we won't get into this video, but when you get into sparring, it will become useful. Maybe in a future video I'll cover that. But this would be better, but if you're not really sure if your partner's throwing lefts or rights, you can cover with both hands like this and just cover up. This isn't ideal because you can't counter-strike as well, but if you're not sure if it's left or right punches coming, this works. Just make sure that there's a space between your two arms so you can see, I can still see what's going on in the camera. It's not like this where I'm blinding myself, it's like this. So I can do it one way, the other, those are my preferences. Or if I'm not really sure what's going on, if I'm getting beat up, I'm getting overwhelmed, like this. And that's another reason why I like covering defenses, because if you get rocked in a fight, like if you see boxers, they get dazed because they get hit with a hard shot, or any fighters, what do? They cover up. They do that to regain their senses, and once they get their senses back, then they can go back and do regular defenses. So anyways, when Glenda throws a straight punch on me, this is what it looks like. I see that punch coming, like that. I rotate my body. If she's throwing the left punch, I cover with my right hand, and I try to mirror her like that. If she throws the other one, it's like that. Now the beauty of these covering defenses is, even if you mess up and you use the wrong arm, a lot of times it will still work. So for example, Glenda throws the left straight. I'm supposed to cover with my mirror arm, which is my right arm. So here comes the left straight, I cover. But if she throws the same hand and I mess up and use the wrong hand, look at that. A lot of times it still works. So that's another reason why I like covering defenses, because you don't have to necessarily read which hand is flying at you. You can actually use either hand or both, and you probably will still be okay. And that's the beauty of it. It keeps the system a little bit simpler if you're having trouble reading your sparring partner. Just remember though, when you do this, it's not just like this with your arms, it's also rotating your body. So you see when I rotate my body, it also protects my face better, where if I don't, I'm still leaving one side of my head open like this, or now I'm leaving this side open. When you rotate with it, it covers you better, and also it takes some of the steam off the punch. Instead of just taking it straight on, if you kind of roll with it, a lot of times instead of hitting it straight on, sometimes it will ricochet because you're kind of rolling with the punch. so to speak. And one last thing that I think is really important, this is the biggest mistake that beginners make when they do learn this defense, is they do this. Their hands are too far away like this, so when the punch comes, kind of like bounces back into your own head. Or even worse, they have it too low, so when she punches, it comes back and hits you in your own face. That's fine if you're wearing big gloves, but I want these techniques to also work in an actual fight where you're not wearing big gloves. Boxers, they have these big pillows to hide behind so they can cover up like this. We can't get away with that. If I get hit, my own hand and my knuckles are getting driven to my face. That's why you gotta take your palm and you gotta glue it to your head and make your arm and your head one unit. Not like this, where it comes back and bounces in your head, like this. So when she throws that punch, I'm bracing myself, I'm tucking my chin down and I'm absorbing it like that. When she recoils it back, of course, I'm back to my fighting stance. So not far away, physically glue your palm to the top of your head where you can absorb more damage. Not too low, and definitely not on your face, because like I said, that works fine for boxers. But in a fight, we're not going to be wearing these. So I want these training habits to not just work in sparring, but to carry over where you could actually use them in a real fight, a fist fight as well. So that's my suggestions. If you're having trouble making your inside defenses work when you spar, especially when you're relatively new at it, switch to these covering defenses from the front. And you'll be surprised. Once you get comfortable learning those, it makes everything so much easier. You're not getting popped in the face, getting your head snapped back. And that's one of the first techniques I teach beginners, is just learn how to cover. Because nothing more frustrating than sparring than getting hit constantly and not bringing your partner. You learn to cover up properly, it's going to take that problem away, and it's going to make your sparring a lot more enjoyable. So that's my suggestion for how to defend straight punches. If you're having trouble making your inside defense work, switch to your covering defenses from the front. So try it out when you spar, and you'll be surprised. It'll make a big difference. Thanks for watching.